Hey everyone, it's Landon here. I wanted to do something, I guess, a little bit different than how we typically run things on the channel. I'm just going to be doing an art spotlight today on, well, I'm planning on doing dungeon assets, but we'll see where this goes. I might end up starting to do something else in the middle of it. I tend to switch around when I'm not feeling happy with what I'm working on at the time. But anyway, let's just get right into it. So as you can see here, I've already started on some tiles for the tile set for the dungeons. If you look up here at the top, it shows a little bit of my process work. So I kind of started off with this really rough design of where I wanted to go, like the sort of like a color scheme test and how exactly I want to show the lighting on it. And then from there, I straight up scrap the idea and then redo it next to it, because I find that whenever I redo something right away, just the secondary result is like 100 times better. So I pretty much have just made a habit of being really rough on the first go and then purposely redoing stuff every time. So if you look at the second one here, you see that it's a successfully tiling tile. It's repeatable on all sides, and from there, I just kind of made it into a shape that I'm happy with. So you can see these cracks that run along, they all run to a corner opposite from each other. That way, the tiles will always be continuous. So if you look over here, you'll see what I mean. Each of the tiles will, like, the cracks will run onto the next tile and onto the next tile and onto the next tile, always, and it makes it look very consistent so that you could place the tiles in anywhere in any order, as long as they're within as long as they're 16 pixels apart, because that's the if you see here, that's the size of the actual pixels, is width height 16 pix. As long as they're all 16 pixels apart, then they'll all constantly repeat like that. And to create some variation, I've made 3 different tiles, 1, 2, and 3, that are each of the points at the edges. If you look, they're all exactly the same spots on all 3 of these tiles, but the actual inside information of the tile is completely different, other than the color scheme. The color scheme is exactly the same, obviously, because I want to make it look consistent. So the reason I do that is because now when I give this over to the programmers, they can take it and they could say, like, okay, when the engine draws, like we'll say, like, the first tile here, it can choose any one of these 3 tiles. We don't have to specify. We could just say that, like, for this tile set, base ground tile is any of these 3 tiles. So anytime it draws a tile, it won't just draw this one, like, over and over and over again. It'll draw, like, this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. Like it could be the, like, let me just label them really quick. So, like, let's say this one's number 1, this one's number 2, and this one's number 3. You could have the engine draw tiles in like a 9x9 space like this, and even if you told it to draw the same like base tile, like just draw a base tile, it might draw, like, tile 1 once, and it might draw tile 2 twice, and it might draw tile 3 the other 6 times out of the 9x9 out of the 3x3 9 tiles that you drew here. So if that makes sense, it'll just make it look less repetitive but still very consistent. So that's basically what I have here. This isn't a 3x3, this is a 4x5, but you get the idea. It's the same thing. So, like, obviously you can see this kind of, like, shape out of the cracks here. It kind of looks like a pterodactyl head. You can obviously see it repeated like 4 times here, but if you notice on the 4th one, the beak looks a little bit different, where this being the beak here, it looks a little bit different here. That's because it's a different tile on the side. Meanwhile, these 3 are just the exact same tile repeated 3 times. So once the engine gets a hold of it, like, it's gonna look a lot better. But yeah, that's the reason why I have these main tiles, and then there's 3 different ones. So consider each of these as just one whole tile that will be drawn, either this one, or this one every time it's drawn. Yeah, I kind of explained that. It took me a long time to get that out the way I wanted to say it, but yeah. Okay, so basically I actually am not going to be using any of these 3 tiles up here. I just wanted to show my process, so I'm going to delete them. And going forward, I'm just going to show you exactly how I sort of went about making one of these tiles in the first place. So I started with a 16 by 16 area, just fill it in, boom, base color, done. Okay, then I grab the darker colors for the cracks, and you don't want to just like, actually I'm going to keep that there just because it's nice to not have to worry about drawing outside the thing. You don't want to just like draw cracks like this because it doesn't look really good. Like if you drag and drop like that, you want to be considerate of where you're placing pixels. So like let's go like 1 2 in, and then 1 up, and then 1 2 over, and then maybe 2 up, and then 3 in, and then let's branch off into like 2 separate paths now. So we'll go down, and as you can see, that already looks like much better than just like scribbling, because it's too like looks jaggedy and really square. But this one, it kind of shows a sense of the cracks are obviously very thin. They're not like, they don't look like someone just grabbed the pencil tool and started drawing all over the place. So yeah, if you just kind of be really considerate about how you place them, work your way to some, I don't really like that one there. Okay, see this little like kind of triangle I've made here, it doesn't look great, but I can fix it with color. So you'll see, like if I take this and then just add like a darker spot there, and then just slightly darker spots here, it kind of just looks like it's a really deep area in the cracks, and now it kind of works. And I think I'm going to do that again, like just right here, like a little bit lighter than the other one, but yeah. So we can have that come down there. I don't like this one, so I'm going to put it like that. Yeah, that's the thing about, you know, doing pixel art. If you ever don't like something, it's really, really, really quick to edit it. All you got to do is remove one pixel, place it somewhere else, and it's a totally different piece now. That's the amazing thing about pixel art. And I'm not even that great at it. I just know from experiences like that. So, okay, if you look at this tile, it looks all right on its own. But if you notice, like this doesn't line up to anything up here. So if we try to repeat this, it's just gonna look really, really weird. So that's the first step, is to getting the repeating tile. So let's, for example, let's look at it. You can see it has problems, lots of problems. I always do it in 9 by 9 because then you can use the centerpiece as reference. So you can see like this doesn't touch anything, this doesn't touch anything, this doesn't, it just looks really, really, really bad, really rushed. Okay, so delete all this. We're gonna come back in, and we're just gonna make these meet up to stuff. So rather than going back this way, I'm gonna take this piece and I'm actually gonna go this way. So now this will match up to this, and we want this to match up to something. So what I'm gonna do is keep this one where it is, but move this one down. So just go like that, get rid of that, and let's maybe give some, show some darkness there, here, here, and the last one we need to do is, I'm just gonna add that there, and that should work. Did I miss any? I think I got it all. Yeah, so now step 1 is done because it should be tiling. Okay, so as you can see, these two now connect there, this connects here, and if we just finish the 9 by 9, you can kind of already see it connecting everywhere, but let's just finish it off anyway. Okay, so if you look at it, like now what happens is each of these like kind of areas within the cracks starts to create like a shape, and it's just a repeating shape. Like you can see this one kind of looks like a goldfish right in here. This one just looks like a Ditto from Pokemon. Yeah, I don't know what this is. I guess like a pickle or something. And yeah, it's just kind of like, it's just whatever. Like as long as it's repeating, then you've successfully made a tile that can be used in the game. But you don't want it to be too repetitive, which is why I have these 3 different tiles for it. Okay, so step 1 is done. It's a repeating tile. Now step 2 is to add simple lighting. This is just to give it some depth and to really make it look a lot more realistic, even though it's just pixel art. So usually I'll take this kind of lighter color and I'll just go along the top edges, and sometimes like the parts that stick out more, and it just kind of like really brings out the cracks more. The contrast really helps. And so you can see that right here I've added the lighter area. So on the other side, I'm just gonna add a little bit there so that it kind of looks like it goes here and then it goes down 2 and that's on this side. You'll see it when I put it together, it'll make more sense. And now we have the light. I'm just gonna add some dark spots near the bottoms. So just like this, down here, even like one up there, one here and one here, along the bottom side of the center, and then along the bottom side of the top parts. You don't want to have too much, like you don't want to start like filling in areas in the center. You can if it works, but we're just going simple. So yeah, that's pretty good. So you can already start to see like it's a lot. It pops out a lot more. I wish I kept the old one now just as a reference to compare them, but it pops out a lot more now already. So if we just start tiling them again, you can really see like just how much better it looks already. Still not a complete tile, but it's just much better. Yeah, like I mean, you could already put that in a game. Maybe not quite Archipelo quality, but it's something. Okay, and now for about the last step is to just add some kind of variant noise to the color, so it doesn't look like you just grabbed the paint bucket tool and said like, okay, this is going to be brown, this is going to be brown. We want to add some variant noise to it. So I'll take this, like as you can see, like if you look over here at my color selector, you can see like how different this color is from this color. It's like very subtle, but there is a difference. So I'm just going to take this different color and just start drawing small shape, even just like single dots, little squiggles, stuff like that. And it just starts to make it pop even more. It starts to show the texture of the stone that's of the dungeon floor. And then I'll do it again with the lighter color, which is, as you can see, just a very subtle variant of color, but it just shows a little bit more of the texture. And it's really what makes this look kind of more unique. Maybe just right there. Yeah, okay. So now that's about 95, oh, I don't want that. It's about 95% done, I'd say. The last step just being to touch up areas that after you piece it all together in a 3x3, it just starts to look like, oh yeah, I should probably just change this a little bit, just change this a little bit, and then that's pretty much you've done your tile. So yeah, you can kind of see how it's almost like if this tile existed in the same plane as this tile, it would definitely make sense. The only difference being that this tile doesn't line up with the other tile, like if I try to put it together, unless we like by some weird miracle it did. But yeah, as you can see, like this crack doesn't line up to this crack here. This one in the corner, it does, but that's just one side. So let's try it over here too, and you'll see that it probably doesn't line up well. It's close, but it's enough to make it really weird. And if you notice, the dark areas on this tile are a lot darker than the dark areas on all the other tiles here. It's an easy fix. I actually think the dark areas look better on this tile, so I might go in and just touch up these ones. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like that's why I said it's 95% done, because you see stuff that you want to change, and then that's just like touching up, like to make like, I don't know, like say this area, like let's just go to full black, set the brush to like 10%, and then just go in on it and like just add like a little bit more to the dark areas, just so it creates a contrast and it just sort of pops in these areas. Like you can definitely, your eye is definitely drawn to these areas here now on the piece. And I'm just gonna do it again on this one. So just make it a little bit darker there, around here, just right in there, and then maybe there too. It's just kind of like, I think it just looks a lot better like that now. We want to be careful with having these focal point focus areas though, because if we repeat them too much, your eye is just gonna recognize like oh, I see this dark area here, okay, and then here, and then here. Like it's just like you feel like you're walking in the same area over and over again. So you do want to be mindful of that. You don't want it to be too contrasty, but enough to make it look nice. Okay, now that I've made this extra tile, I'm actually going to keep it, just because kind of like it. So what I'm gonna do is just move around a couple of the pixels, and see, like, this is the great thing about pixel art, is how easy it is. I know I keep saying this, but how easy it is to edit something. It's just a matter of moving like a few individual pixels and then creating a completely new piece. So to do this, I'm gonna compare it to the one beside it here. So we obviously have this one up in the corner. We could probably just draw, oh shoot, this is still at 10%. We could probably just draw, what? Okay, there you go. We just draw that there. Now it makes sense there. The corner is already really close, so if I just go down one, put this here and probably that there, that should make sense. This one's already matched up perfect here. The center one here, I feel like I could do something if I just come in. Yeah, that actually works really well. And then we just need to do the same on this side. I don't really want to split up this big chunk because I kind of like it. So I think I'm just gonna like progressively kind of blend it. So it just looks like the crack just sort of stops. Like it dissolves into the, yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. This one, if I just move it there, and yeah, I think it should line up now with, well, let's double check that it still lines up with itself, but I'm pretty sure it should. Oh, okay, the corner's a little bit weird. Okay, actually I don't, this part is kind of weird here. That's just like having this area and this area. It's more like a gash on the actual stone. So I think if I'm gonna do that, no, I have to do it though. Just because then I was gonna change the color of it, but then it wouldn't match up over on these tiles. So I won't make it blend like that then. I'll make it, what if I just make it darker like that? Does that work? I think that kind of works. We'll see. And then what was the other problem? This corner doesn't match this corner. So if I just put a piece there, I think kind of does. Let's see. I'm just gonna delete this. How's that looking? Oh, I didn't fix the gash. Wait, did I? It's kind of random. Like there's a part of it that I like, but then there's a part of it that I don't like. Yeah, I think this specifically, like it just looks like something that when you see it like 6 times like this, it looks really bad. So I think it's better to just remove it, or to we'll just do that maybe. Why does the color look different? Because it is different. That's weird. Do that. Do that. And that. How is that? Maybe I'll put this here. No, it's fine. Okay, I think I fixed it. If this works, then this should be like the best tile out of all of them. I just think the contrast on the cracks is really nice. Let's see. It's kind of cool. It doesn't look great when it's just itself repeated, but I think blending it with the other tiles here, it should look pretty nice. So let's do that. Let's just we'll just drag it in the corner here and put one there. Does it work? What's wrong here? Why doesn't something line up there? Oh, because I have an extra crack that I don't need. Why do I have that? I need to get rid of this and this. I just realized. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, I think that's good. I know I keep saying I think it's good, but it's just because of the way I didn't do this one in the same sequence as I did the other three, so it's like I kind of have to redo it to make it match. Yeah, it looks a little bit better separated now, like when it's on its own now too, compared to how it was the last time I did it. Is there any areas that are weird there? Not really. Let's put it in a couple spots. Just see how it's definitely more unique than the other tiles, like because of how dark the cracks are, but it's not a negative thing. Like when they program it into the game, what they can do is just have it actually I'll keep them there. When they code it into the game, they can just have it set so that these three occur much more frequently than this one does, so that this one looks like like what's that over there in the ground, like it looks a little different there, rather than being just like this that. It'll be, these three really commonly, and then this one like much less common, which kind of takes me to the next part. So as you can see, I have like my main 3 or 4 if you want to include this one, and then variant tiles. So what these are going to be is, this one is basically the exact same tile as this one. It's just the one stone has been chunked out of it, and you can kind of see the dirt underneath. It's basically the same idea as what I was just mentioning with this one, but it's going to be even more unique. It's going to be more like very not rare to find, but it's going to be a lot less common. So that way, when you see it, it's just going to feel like there's something different about that area of the dungeon. It doesn't hurt to have like maybe one here in an area of this big, but you wouldn't want to have like one here, one there. It's going to be too repetitive if you do it that way. Maybe like one here and then this bone over here, something like that.